right, welcome to Square One Farms. Today we're butchering chickens, and this is something that I've just been learning along the way and felt like I really wanted to share with you guys. I'm a teacher full time, and I enjoy teaching. So today we're going to teach how to butcher a bird. And I've got the chicken already. These are Cornish cross hens, and they're about 9-10 weeks old. You grow them up however long you want to, for as big as you want. 8 weeks being optimal for time and money. So here we have the bird. I like to use the restraining cones. I've done it other ways. I just feel like this is the easiest way. It allows the bird to just sit and rest in the cone, and then we bleed it out, which is an important part of the process. So you set the bird down in there, and then you're going to have to reach up and grab its head. They don't typically like to stick their own head out. So I come up close to the base of the skull and just keep a sharp knife, and it's done. So here we're at step 2. So we've killed the chicken. We now have our hot water. We've got to scald the chicken. This is incredibly important. If you don't do this right, it just makes getting the feathers off, it just makes it a nightmare. So we're sitting right now at about 160, maybe 65 degrees. And so this is a process that takes about 20 seconds. I think it's important that we get the chicken all the way down in the water, and then you get movement. I feel like that's been the biggest success. You get the hot water all over the chicken, and you get the movement. It gets in all the holes and helps loosen those feathers. So we do this about 20 seconds. Okay, so we're sitting at about 20 seconds. We pull it out, we do a little feather test. Comes right off, we know we're ready. Step 2 is done, chicken's been scalded, it's ready to take the feathers off. All right, now we're at step 3. Step 3 is plucking the feathers, or what I call step 3. This part was awful for me. I did not like pulling feathers at all, and so I started doing some research on how to pluck feathers, and what we have right here is a Star Pluck SP1. It was an investment, but it's been an investment that I feel like is well worth it. We're looking at about another 20 seconds, and all the feathers are gone. Occasionally leaves a few behind, but for the most part, all the feathers are gone in 20 seconds. So this came straight from Star Pluck. Again, highly recommend it. A little skeptical at first, but I did my research, and it's done everything it promised. The more expensive models will have a hose around the top that shoots water in. I didn't spring for those, so I haven't created my own. So right now I just use a water hose, keep some water flow going while the chicken's being defeathered. All right, so as you can see here, we've got a bird that's pretty much defeathered. It's an incredible machine, well worth it. I got a few stray feathers I'm going to pluck off in the next step, but really we're talking 30 or 40 seconds. So well worth it. If you can find one, great. Maybe you got a friend that has one, but it's an awesome machine. All right. So the next step we have here is the cleaning of the bird, and this is, it's kind of straightforward, kind of not. I had somebody show me how to do it, but I'll be honest with you, as good as you may find this or not, until you get down and do it yourself, it really, you learn so much more doing it yourself. So I always start with the feet and go ahead and get them out of the way. I have some customers that want the feet on there as well, so I prepare it any way the customer likes. So the first step we do is take the feet off. I keep a knife for the feet, and I keep a knife also for any other things. So when we're looking at the feet, there's a knuckle right here. All right, so all I do, cut around the knuckle. All right, get all the skin cut. Careful not to go into the bone, or you'll dull your knife out. I've done it, right? So I learned the hard way. Then we just break it, and then we're just left with some tendons. Come right in, and it's done. We've got a good looking leg right there left. Skin's clean. It's aesthetically pleasing. So again, over here we've got the knuckle. Just going to cut around it. Again, keeping your knife out of the bone. That may seem like common sense to some, but if you know what, if you're like me and you're just starting from square one, what you don't know, you don't know. You got to learn from somewhere. Again, just cutting the tendons. We got a good looking bottom of the leg right there. Clean that off. So we've got our feet off. All right. I make sure, you know, keep the bird clean as we work with it. So now we've got to get. Some people will keep the neck. I don't have any customers that want the neck right now. So I'm going to take the neck off of this one. So I'm going to get my other knife. I also use scissors. Because I feel like that, you know, a good pair of scissors is incredible for some of this stuff. So I'm gonna come down on the neck a little bit. I'm gonna cut, come around, and I'll get this bottom part of the neck off first, just by cutting the skin. I love to use scissors. Scissors are a lot easier to control, and you're gonna get some better cuts. It's personal preference. So I left my skin long here. I'm going to pull it back. I'm going to find me a spot on the neck, and I'm just going to work my way around, just like I did with the feet. I'm going to try not to get into the neck, the vertebra. I've just got to make sure I clean all the meat off. It's a little tricky because you're trying to leave some skin. So once I get cut, I'll kind of come in here. When you do that way, you break the neck, the vertebra, and you're left with tendons and meat. Just come in. All right, so the neck's out. We're gonna have some stuff left around right in here. I'm just gonna clean it out until I can get down and see the chicken breast part. This bird hasn't eaten in 12 hours, roughly. And what that does is allows the crawl time to clean out. And so as I'm getting here, we've got the crawl over here. So what I'm going to be able to do is just pull it out, and I'm not going to have to worry about any of the grit or any of the other juices that would have been in there, as it is part of the digestive system for the chicken. But this just makes this a cleaner process. And this is the crawl right here. So we just kind of have to work on it. So once I get it pulled out and pulled away, then I'll just start to trim around here. There's no rush here to get this done. When you're doing it, don't hurry. Nobody's setting any records, and we're done. So what we have here is a very good looking bird. So next step is we're gonna have to clean out the backside. And I'm gonna tell you, I've watched 10 different ways to do this. And actually watching a cooking video about a guy on a farm, and I happened to watch him, and it wasn't even about butchering chickens, but I watched him and saw what he was doing, and so I decided to see if I could make it my own. So what I do is just come about halfway down. Again, I'm using my scissors so I can control my cut. Right? We want to be careful because we have the guts behind here. We do not want to nick those. That is the absolute worst thing you could probably do. It will taint your meat. So again, I just run my scissors down. All right, about halfway down. Again, you're leaving skin that comes over this. I'll come back and trim this up. But if you cut too far back, then you start to have meat hanging out, and it just, honestly, it just doesn't look good. It's not going to affect your cooking at all, but it just won't look very good. And you know, perception's everything with people. All right, so I've cut through the first layer of my skin, my outer skin, and I'm just going to make a little nick in here until I get down inside. And just be careful again, because you got stuff back there you do not want to nick. So once I see that I'm in, all right, I can be more careful. I'm going to cut back down. It's almost like a V shape down in there. Cut around that. All right, and then here's the part. There's just no easy way to do this. You just got to get your hand down in there and then just get everything out. So I take my hand. Best way I can describe it is the cage in there. You got to work around the tops. Some stuff is stuck. All right, but if you've gotten this far, this really shouldn't be that big a deal. So you come down in here. You just kind of wiggle your hand around. You want to loosen stuff up inside so that it's a lot easier to pull out. And if I do it right, which I don't always do it right, you get one pull and it all comes out. And this time it worked. I was able to get it all with one pull. So I've got all the guts and I've got everything out. So my next step that I want to do, I've got it hanging over the edge of the table. So the next step that I'm going to do is come around here, block the angle, and I'm going to cut out the tail. And the guts are out. So we had no spillage, and it's all done. So after this step, normally I'm gonna rinse the bird off. I'm gonna wash my hands. Again, I'm just a little OCD about it, but I figure it's better safe than sorry as far as the cleanliness goes. And I'll rinse my table off too. Again, I don't know that this is all necessary or if the water even does anything, but it makes me feel better about it, what kind of environment I'm doing this in. So I'll just start off, I just come in here, trim some of this fat a little bit. All right, so you can see here, inside the bird, we still have some stuff left. We've got to get that out. You got some lungs and some other stuff. You could cook it. You could cook it with some of the stuff left in there, but most people, that's not how you get them at the store, and that's kind of what they're expecting. If you're just cooking it for yourself, this is going to all be personal preference. I have friends that, clean out very little and just start cooking it in there, and they say it's all going to end up at the bottom of the pan anyways. So I'm gonna work on this for a little while. Again, there's no great way to do this. You got to get your hand down in there and clean it out. All right, so what we've got here is a clean bird. Maybe some of you might want it cleaner. It's clean enough for me. What we do have is a few little pieces of skin hanging off. So I'm just going to take my scissors. I'm going to cut up a little bit. Just kind of cut this off. Again, just trying to make it look a little pretty. Again, it all depends on what you're doing with it. So right there we have a finished bird, and we're good to go. Now it's ready to cook.